Yeah, well, there's been a few shifts in the Brighton backline, I think, Dave, since we played them, and they seem to have hit a bit of form lately.
They have hit a rich vein of form. Didn't make touch. Burnside will get chance to counter-attack. Harden straight at Plummer. Ashenford will send it out to Walton. Walton will make his way to the 10. Big counter up comes.
Ball's out, no problem.
Ryan Murphy knocked on. Our referee today is Mr. Gunning, who slightly dismissively dealing with Nathan Satala at that point.
Yeah, well, the weather certainly turned it up for us here today, Dave. It's a beautiful winter's day.
It is finals weather, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Every time you get to finals, it's like this.
A little bit of feeling out here in the scrums.
Well, the last time we saw Burnside, and we haven't seen them for a while, the last time we saw Burnside, they were absolutely dominant in the scrum, but you have lost Louis Fagan.
He's a huge loss, one of the best props going around in South Australia, but we've got Ollie Barker, Tony Barker's brother, in the front row, used to play prop for Riverview, so...
Marshall will pick, Marshall will go. Marshall will bounce off Plummer, then make another good couple of yards. Burnside now, Ashenford will look out to the right-hand side. Then they will go. Hodgson will show and go. Hodgson, can he get around the outside? Good covering tackle from Setafano. Knocked on in the tackle. Brighton will have a scrum, but Burnside looked dangerous.
Yeah, little show and go there by Chris Hodgson. Definitely class player. The Brighton backs will definitely have to look out for his little bag of tricks.
So it will be a Brighton scrum. Bang on 5 metres out from their own line.
Right, 7.
Yeah, we haven't had much of a look at Satala at flanker from Burnside, but he's a worthy adversary, so I'm interested to see how he goes. And
he wasn't unimpressive when we saw him play there last.
Set. Ball's out, ball's out, ball's out. Ball's out.
Ball is out, and it's messy. Ashenford will have to dig. Eliippo will send it into midfield. Intercepted! Intercepted by Setafano. Crosses halfway. No one's going to get him. He will canter in. Under the post, a dagger to the heart of Burnside. Early on, as Setafano will dot it down. Still no threat of a smile from the Terminator.
Yeah, well, he's got a bag of skill, Setafano, and he was on that ball like a rabbit down a hole. So, well done, Brighton. Well done.
Just that one missed pass too many. Setafano was off and running, and he could drop down the gears. No real chase from Burnside. I think Ashenford was the only one who had a go at him.
Yeah, he was sweating on that ball. The ball was going from Hodgson to Shawnee Meredith, but Setafano definitely had eyes only for the ball. So, congratulations, Brighton.
Plummer will knock over the extras.
Well,
say again.
Real men are made from adversity, and this will test the Burnside faithful.
You just see the shadows starting to lengthen as well, and whether those players have got that they have to deal with.
Yes.
Good high restart. Bobbled around, knocked on, scrum Burnside.
Walk away.
A little bit of greeting, a little bit of early pleasantries exchanged between the two
Let's
bees.
play the scrum.
It's going to be a conflict.
It's already gone your way.
Two hard, proud teams going at it on this fine winter's day. A lot up for grabs, Dave.
We are still in winter, aren't we? Until September. I think September it becomes spring.
Yeah. Another 6 days, sir.
6 long, dark days. Marshall reaches all the way in. Groves does well. Walton at the back will pick and go. Big penalty. Lamsam decides he wants to go. Lamsam will bounce the first one off. Groves comes across, gets just enough. Satala put his head where Angels feared to tread. Slowed it down enough. Ashenford has to send it to Walton. Walton finds a gap. Walton just gets held up underneath. Ashenford again. Now Burnside can look to spread.
Advantage offside.
Advantage for offside. Ashenford goes and gets it again. Ashenford out to Walton. We'll ship it one more, then get it back. Walton will go over and Walton will score. That will mean a lot to the boys in blue to come back that quickly. They come from everywhere to say, well done to the big Englishman.
Yeah, well, they set out to the left-hand side, a little pot of forwards. They did well to get it from ball to tip, and they come out with their just rewards. They sort of the Burnside team a lot for their confidence after that runaway try by Stefano. So good to see for both clubs. It's going to be another tight game. Here we go, Joe Ashenford. Out to Callum, out to Ollie Barker. Ollie Barker gives a wrap around to Callum and he's in for a try.
Well, Walton would like to run at scrum halves as much as he can. Collier just couldn't quite get him.
A tough kick here.
Just pulled it. We've seen in the game we did before, well, kicking conditions are great.
Yeah, the wind slightly started to pick up, Dave, here from over our shoulders. Wasn't like that in the middle of the day, quite breezeless, but seems like that afternoon sun sort of hit the prevailing winds.
Stefano will restart. Nice high hanging kick. Tapped backwards. Lamsam will clean it up.
Move.
Wrapped up by Cook. Ashenford will send it out to Eliappa. Meredith will give it him back. Trying to find a way through. Offloads out the back. Then they will come out to this near side to Green. Green will put it on the boot. Stefano with time and space. Looks to step the first one and the second one. Can't get away. Oh. Questions as to whether it was held and kept going. Little knock on though. It's a result for Burnside. Not sure it's the result they wanted.
Yeah, Travis Collier wasn't happy with that, but seemed to be a little bobble there at the base of the ruck.
That was fine. That last one with the 9 knocking on.
So it will be a Burnside put in.
Crouch!
Fred Samuel over on this near side, taking on Jack Cook. That's a battle for the ages, isn't it?
Yeah, two powerhouses going at it right there.
Ashenford just misses Eliappa. It's gone backwards though. Again, they will put it on the boot. Turn them around. Acres and acres of space down there. How's that ball going to bounce? It's going to go to Meredith. Meredith will go over. And again, the double blues come from everywhere to celebrate the try. Ball just refused to go out.
Oh, what a kick. Kick's only as good as a chaser, and Shawnee Meredith.
Matt Benger puts it on the boot, and Meredith just never gave it up. It flirted with that sideline. And I tell you what, you can't take away from the finish from Meredith. Setafano jogging across. I think he thinks it's gone out. He's given up on it.
Yeah, it looks like Burnside have identified a weakness out there, out wide, and we've seen a few early kicks to turn the Brighton pack around, and it seems to be working.
Tough kick for Eliappa.
Just tell Joe his hands are falling off the throw, so to finish off the pass, mate. Yep.
So from way out on the right-hand touchline, he sends it on the way, hits the upright, bounces out.
Here we see the replay again, Dave. It was a deft little kick there by Matt Benja.
He just didn't want to go out. And that's a fabulous finish from Meredith.
No, stellar.
He was happy with it as well, wasn't he? Another hanging ball.
No, backwards.
And Ballet was there.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen. I have the whistle, you do not.
Glib response from our referee. I think everybody knew it was a knock-on.
Yeah, he's a cool customer, Dave Gunning. Great to have around. It'll be interesting to see which way Brighton head this way. If they come out to the right and work with that big blind. Looks like they're going to go for the big blind.
Cook will send it out to the left-hand side. Plummer will send it back into Setafano. Came out the back but went forward.
Unfortunate there for Brighton.
Let's go, big scrum.
So Burnside 10, Brighton 7.
You just get
2 tries, no conversions.
You get the feeling, Dave, it's going to be another cut and thrust sort of a game from both these class teams.
Come! Point! Set! Yeah, no, the ball's out.
Marshall again will pick and go, take on Satala, and Satala will try and bundle him into touch, doesn't quite make it.
Hands off!
Oh, that's a big clean out.
Hands.
Yeah, the Burnside resident hitman, Zach
Ellis.
Ellis.
Combine onto the ruck for the last man. Hands, no good.
He flexes his shoulders as he walked away from a massive clean up.
Yeah, he's got sheer brutality, that boy.
Don't think that one's made it. Setafano will work from the background. We'll just drop a gear and look for options. One of those options is a ballet. The ballet will then send it to Butler, and Butler will send it to Joe. Breaks the ankles, and off he goes. Then it will come back inside, and ballet will pick it up. Met by a couple of Burnside shirts.
Great counter-attack from Brighton.
Collier will send it into the middle. Cook takes on a couple. Bounces back to Plummer. Plummer will send it out to the left. Satala sitting in that outside channel. Now he will get it. Holds his feet. Offloads to Plummer. Plummer will then send it out to Pitter. Pitter will find a little bit of a gap. Manages to go through the first one. Enters the 22. Collier out to Fanaho. Fanaho will look for a little bit of space. Met by Marshall. Then it will come out to Plummer. Out to Groves. Groves holds his feet.
Missed it, didn't survive the hit.
Oh, Sandbrook nearly managed it, didn't quite finish it. France will rumble over the top.
No, mate, no one. He put you in a pretty...
Collier to Groves. Groves will just break the gain line and not really much more.
Hit, no problem. Survive the hit, gents.
Scrappy, but it's still at the back.
Yes, it!
Collier asking for a pick and drive. Gets one from Fanaho. Fanaho will nearly get there. Satala will pick and drive. Tried the old Nigel Lamsam. Held up by Nigel Lamsam. Still messy.
Let it go. Okay, ball's coming. Let it go. Let it come. Let it come. Use it.
Still scrappy at the back.
Use it. It's there.
Collier out to the left to Fanaho. Tried to shake away the first tackle. Collier again out to the left to Groves, who tries to roll his way around. Still short. Another pick and drive, this time to the left. Again, the Burnside wall is strong. Another little one, and there's a try.
Yeah,
Greg Black will get over.
Groves and Fanahow really strong for Brighton on the flankers.
Didn't go forward.
The loose forwards. Definitely making their mark upon the game, especially at the breakdown.
Just brute force from Brighton in the end. There's only so many times that you can bang against that door before it has to give in. Just a little bit of a slight issue. I think it's on one of your wingers. Your fire winger, I think that's Barker.
Yeah, Tony Barker.
Still on a knee, and we have somebody warming up in front of us.
Yeah, that's George O'Sullivan.
Still down, one knee. Went down quite quickly, was signalling to the bench that he needed some treatment.
Yeah, not looking good for Burnside. One half of the Barker brothers injured.
Plummer will set it on the way. High kick. Flag stay down though.
And Tony Barker seems to be up and running again, Dave, even though a little bit gingerly, but
It does look a little bit proppy over there.
looks like he'll carry on.
Meredith will restart. Wobbly old kick, and Black will deal with it. Groves will pull it out the back to Plummer. Then they will find a belly, and a belly will look for a little bit of a gap. Dragged down by his shirt tails eventually by Hodgson. Plummer hits as he passed, but gets it away to Setafano. He'll look for a little bit of room. Manages to come out of one tackle. Then Cook will roll away from the first and make it to halfway. Collier again. Sends it to France. Big, hard, straight running from France. Ballet will shake the first one and the second one. Third one gets him. Collier.
Yeah, Dave, Abella looks quite strong there in inside centre channel.
Time's up there.
You may hear the music in the background. I think that's the Elizabeth players from Division 1 who started to celebrate even as this game's starting.
Yeah, it was a hard-fought win from Elizabeth. Well done to the Elizabeth Rugby Club. Going through to the final.
Quite dominant.
Yeah, very classy performance there.
I don't think we'll see this one be as one-sided. 10 points to 12 on the Wojtek scoreboard with 20 minutes gone. I think that's Plummer who's just getting some treatment. He was hit very, very hard as he passed a couple of phases ago now.
Yeah, it'll be no holds barred physical game.
He's exactly where you'd probably like to go, isn't he? All right, if you promise to drop goal, we'll start again, right?
So scrum in midfield. Big blind side. Stacked it. Meredith has gone out there already. No late run from the fullback. He's just set out his stall. That's where I'm going to be. Already seen Marshall pick up and go from the back a couple of times.
Set!
Marshall will go. And they will go out to the right-hand side. Meredith will get it eventually. Met by a couple of Brighton players. Hands in the ruck. There is the arm for it. Ashenford. Walton puts it on the left boot. Into a nice little spot, but they're coming back for the penalty.
Ruck form, no hands.
And we continue the tradition of Walton swinging a left hoof at it during a broadcast. Loves it.
Yeah, he's got the full range of skills, Mr. Walton. And definitely not afraid to utilise any of them. Been really impressed with his defence even since his injury.
He used to have a lovely cultured left foot when he was a junior. Was a goal kicker as well, I think.
Yep, he did everything.
So Burnside line-up. We'll go to Walton. He just about manages to get a hand on it. Ollie Barker will clean it up.
Hey, off his head.
Ashenford again. Out to Eliippa. Into midfield and met strongly by Abele. Let it go, then picked it up and went another couple of yards. Ashenford looking to the right-hand side. We'll send it to Walton. Walton looks for an inside ball to Sambrook and gets one.
Yes, that ball was
Ashenford will go quickly.
All right,
Out to Marshall. Walton, quick hands, but went to nobody, but Benja will have to try and make something of it. Ball pops out and Groves can clean it up. Got even worse now. Groves has grown his beard a little bit more. Collier to Groves, to Butler. Butler will send it out to Cook. Cook will completely miss his winger in Joe.
Forward pass in the touch. Option.
Yeah, it looked like the winger Joe was a little bit in front of the passer there, so didn't give him many options.
It's coming out here. 5 minutes here.
We've seen what he can do in a relatively small area. The young old Fijian winger.
Oh, he's definitely got footwork for the ages, hasn't he? He's a very dynamic winger.
Bind. Set.
So Ashenford will put it in. Goes to the back and out to Eliippa. Just dropped cold in midfield. At least he didn't turn it over. Could have been a hell of a lot worse because Abele was there.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to give Abella any room to move. Not only strong, but very fast.
So it'll be a Brighton scrum.
Still got me, Snoop. Good. Yeah, no, all good. Bind! Stand up. Your head goes in the hole, not on his head.
So both scrums holding their own at the moment. Brighton front row of France, Fishwick and Cook. Burnside, Samuel, Sambrook and Barker. Straight down over here. Cook versus Samuel. There's some experience in that front row as well.
Yeah, two very cerebral, powerful players.
Cerebral.
For front rowers, well, Freddie Samuels is a pilot, so...
is he really?
Yeah.
Bind! Set!
Brighton again, solid. Groves will look out to the left-hand side. He will then send it to Joe. Joe is looking for a little bit of space, enveloped by Lamsam and Hodgson. Plummer out the back to Abele, out to Setafano. Setafano will look to step inside, beats the first one and the second one. Then he will send it on to Pitter. Pitter met by defence. Did enough. And we'll come out to Murphy. Murphy is driven backwards by Marshall. Counter up comes from Burnside. Penalty there, not rolling away.
Over there, behind the pile of bodies.
Collier wanted to look to go quickly.
Yeah, he had the right idea. They were in trouble if he got to go quick, but the ref wants him to play the ball behind the Massa players.
Skip out the ball was coming for them, but then you mucked it up, all right?
Plummer will send Brighton down to around the 22-metre line. We saw a
like
very fast tempo from Brighton last time we were out with our lineouts, and that continues. Just missed his jumper, but Tatala will clean it up. Then they will pull it out the back to Pitter. He'll give it to Setafano. Joe will find a line and hit a line. Just about dragged down, but the offload is there to Fishwick. Fishwick will fight to ground. Collier then out to the left-hand side to France. France will cross the 5-metre line. Again, Burnside. Backs to the wall stuff. Collier to Plummer. Plummer will look for an inside ball to Abele. Abele manages to get away from one. All untidy as they just offloaded, but Cook will settle it down. And that's going to be a penalty Burnside.
Come on, hit.
Yeah, Shawnee Meredith there getting in a good position over the ball. Didn't allow the Brighton clean out to do their job. Well done.
Fraser Green did just enough. Normally when we see Joe get into that amount of space, it's not a lot anybody can do.
Yeah, no, Joe would fit through a mousetrap with his pace.
Burnside looking to start their driving maul. They will get going. Murphy has done enough just to mess it up a little bit. Now it's gone to ground. It's not going to come out, and Brighton will turn it over. Just did enough. Murphy was an absolute nuisance. If he comes up with the ball, he's done very, very well, that young man.
Yeah, extremely well there, Dave. Unfortunately, the Burnside maul just seemed to fragment a little bit there once it got going. And
I mean, you could ask the question as to whether he actually went through the middle or whether he swam up the side, but it was on the other side to the referee, so you take what you can get.
Too true.
Collier will put the ball in. To Plummer. To a ballet. Again, he will shake through a couple and step and go. And a ballet makes it look that easy.
That's world class.
Just, if he gets going, I thought they'd done enough initially.
Yeah, it just
to
seems
slow him down.
Yeah, it just seems the first up tackles from Burnside, the Brighton inside backs are a little bit of a handful, so something that may want to address at half time.
Plane landing.
Just
I'm happy so far, but we should keep an eye on that.
He's just so strong. Well, yeah, and he's one of those players, you go high, he'll brush you off, you go low, he'll bump you off. Big test. 17 points to 10 with the kick to come. Plummer makes no mistake. 19 points to 10 as we approach the half-hour mark of this first half.
Three, four tackles there, 5, 6.
Which is not unusual, unfortunately, for the opposition of a ballet. Groves will find Satala. Well, there could be another Burnside penalty coming.
Take it. She's got the ball. Take it. He has the ball. Take it.
And there he goes, Lamsam, finally. Collier.
Advantage offside. 11.
Gets sent out to Green. Green does everything he can. There's a lot of chat between the players and the referee. Walton wants to go quick. Does go quick. Marshall. Ashenford out to the right-hand side to Eliippa. And it will go to Hodgson. Hodgson will get to ground. Ashenford to Walton. Walton looking for a little bit of an offload. Gets one.
Roll out 4, roll 4. Take it now, it's fine, player.
Ashenford has to tidy it up. It's the step inside Fanaho. Then a little pick and drive from Walton. Out to Marshall. Marshall will roll forwards for a couple. Inside ball to Sambrook, who'll shake off the second one. And the third one. Sambrook with a dive in the corner. Burnside will come back. Rather more subdued celebration than we've seen. I think they realise that they're in a competition.
Yeah, I think so too, Dave. They just realise that they've got to be on their, bring their A game to match it with Brighton. And like we said at the start of the broadcast, it's going to be a to and fro game.
I've seen no problem, and that's why I had to worry. Okay?
You did well to brush off, I think it was Collier, was it?
I think it was, and then Joe just missed him.
He's a hard man to pull down, Kieran Sandbrook, affectionately known as Kizza. Has had an injury, Dave. Came off it last game against Woodville, so it's good to see him back in the squad.
So just the 3 tries. Keanu has not been as consistent as he would like to be with that right foot of his. Again from the touchline. He doesn't need another one. That one he does manage to stroke over. 17 points to 19. Every time these two teams get together, they put on an absolute show.
Yeah, big shout out to Keanu Alipa. He's one of the juniors that have come through this year from under 18s last year. And it just goes to show how strong South Australian rugby is becoming.
Setafano to restart. Just a little chip onto Eliapa, who does very, very well in the air. Takes on a belly. Ashenford out to Marshall. Marshall showed and then tried to get back inside. Fanaho got him. Groves did everything he could. Walton didn't like what he had in front of him, so just decided to straighten and settle. Ashenford again. Out to Lamsam. Lamsam looking for a spot against Satala. Satala does well. Ashenford to Kiani. Tackle in midfield. And then we'll go right again. Meredith. Lovely weighted pass to Sambrook. Then they will go down the line. Ball comes back Burnside's way. Samuel. Another couple. Walton. Boy, he got man and ball at the same time. It has worked out okay for Burnside. Dragged into touch by Joe.
Nothing off that, okay. Nothing off there.
She was dragged into touch. First knock on was from Brighton, so it will be a Burnside scrum. On the 10-metre line of Brighton.
Part of the scrum.
I get the feeling, Dave, it's about to open up here. Both teams are, it's like the calm before the storm.
If you'd like me to stop the play for eyelashes, I can do that to you.
It is simmering, isn't it?
Yeah, good word. Yeah, very good. Very apt.
Binds! Set!
Can go one way or the other, you feel. It's either going to explode or we might get some rugby. Ashenford out to Aliapa. He will send it back inside. Ashenford again. Will find Marshall. Hesitated a little bit on his run up into it. Then tries to find a gap. Ashenford again. Eliapa will step and come back inside. Ashenford will pick up. Pull it back to Marshall. Marshall 2-on-1. Lamsam will pick from the back and offload to Ashenford. Ashenford will find a little bit of space. Send it out to Eliapa. Then it will go one more to Hodgson. Hodgson will look to find a way through. Look for the offload. Didn't like it. Ashenford. Again to Eliapa. Stands, gives it to Marshall. Marshall will take on Cook. Ashenford to the right-hand side. And it will go out to Hodgson again. Zach Ellis will just put the head down and go. Ashenford, as we saw the counter ruck come from Setafano. Walton with good hands. Out to Green. Out. Oh, now there is a big question as to how many arms were in that tackle. But I don't think Mr. Devlin's going to complain too much. He'll just get up and brush off his shoulders and walk back into his position.
He's a man of granite. Yeah, there were probably 3 arms in that tackle.
None of them belong to a belly. Sambrook looks for a gap down the near side. I'm going to call that accidental offside. So we got to see it again. Devlin just lost where he was, just stepped into touch. Good ball from Green, and that is massive contact. Just about enough, you would say.
Yeah, very strong hit.
Do you get the feel that there is a lot of contained energy at the moment, and it's going to come out in one way or another? Collier to Plummer, out to a Bellet. Bellet will straighten, then offload to Joe. He will find a little bit of space and he will put the foot down. Meredith will get him. Huge throw out the back.
General plane. No, get out of there. Ball's out.
Cook will pick and go.
Out of there too.
Collier out to the left-hand side to a Bellet. He again will keep the hands free and look for an offload. Finds Collier. He will then find Joe. Joe will manage to shake his way out of a couple. Just about got him with the shirt tails. Then it will go back to France. Up to Butler. Butler will step away from one. Then send it back inside to Joe. Then to Collier. Collier gave it to Fanaho, who dropped it cold. It was like watching sevens with 15 people on the side.
Yeah, definitely sevens feel about it, that passage of play.
There'll be some people sucking in the big ones now.
So you guys suggesting that you got a better view?
And Joe's slow to get up, and he's okay.
Just holding the back of his ankle. Zach Ellis.
Time's off. Injury.
Yeah, he looks to be in a little bit of problem here.
He's holding the back around the sort of Achilles sort of area.
Yeah, indeed.
And it's happening after the ball's already getting ready to clear, okay? So if you hold the ball in and there's issues and you've got dominance, that's where you bring that in. Yep. Okay. I'll keep an eye on it.
Very impressed, Dave, with Dave Gunning's refereeing performance at the moment. He's taking control of the game. Players are listening. It's
3 minutes to...
it's good to see.
There's been a lot of good feedback for Dave Gunning.
Zach Ellis is back up, back into the foray.
Bench! Blind!
Be interesting to see if they go down the blind this time.
It's not the biggest blind in the world, but they have gone that way. Marshall took on Pitter. Satala is there again, making a nuisance of himself. Ashenford into Walton, speaking of nuisances. Then to Sambrook. Sambrook stepped back inside, stepped himself somewhat. Managed to keep going though. Dragged to ground by Cook. Ashenford to Walton again. Walton will send it out to Meredith, and Meredith will just put it on the boot. That one is holding itself in as well, and will go touch and goal down. So there's an option to come right the way back for the scrum, but we don't know what Burnside are doing to these balls, and they do not want to go into touch.
Yeah, it was looked like it was going to be a good kick, but just went on the far side of the corner post, unfortunately for Shawnee Meredith and the Burnside team.
If that had taken a left turn a yard before, it would have been absolutely perfect.
He's had a great game, Shawnee Meredith.
And this half has absolutely flown by. We are in red time for the first half.
I'm very impressed with the Burnside backs' ball security.
Stay behind 9.
Really good at the breakdown.
Plummer shows inside, and then we'll look for Joe, who's met by a couple of double blue shirts. Collier again to Cook. Sorry, Groves. Groves is driven backwards by Devlin. Collier taking his time at the back. Then out to Fanaho. Fanaho just manages to wriggle to ground. Counter ruck comes from Brighton. Burnside, sorry.
Back. Ball's coming back. Use it.
The Brighton attack seems to be a little bit fragmented
Hands
and
off,
stagnant
2,
at the moment.
Plummer to Abele. Abele will beat the first one and the second one and the third one. Then he will step away from Meredith. Kind of stepped himself eventually. Hacked clear, there's a whistle.
What's the problem? He's playing the ball immediately, which is within his rights.
Well done by Abella. A little bit scrappy there at the end. Brighton feed for a scrum. Looks like both teams are contemplating on the next form of attack.
Boys! Set! Use it.
We are seeing an absolute battle between Cook and Samuel. Collier will send it to Plummer, then to Abele. Plummer on the wraparound will miss out to Setafana, then he will send it one to Pitter. Pitter will step out the second one, and then he will send it infield to Setafano. Meredith gets his ankle. Let the ball go. Butler will touch it down in the corner. There will be a try. I think this is going to be a little conversation about.
Place the ball, stand back up, where he goes the ball out. Try. You've seen the same thing?
Yeah.
He's tackled, he's placed, he's stood up, and then he's picked up the ball and gone. That's what's happened.
She can.
No, but he's let it go. He stood to his feet and played it on his feet.
Very clear and concise there by Dave Gutting.
It's very, very sevens what he did. Meredith got him by the ankle, lets the ball go, and then Meredith let him go, which he has to. Butler finished from 5 yards out, deadly from 5 yards out. Butler?
Yeah, he's electric, isn't he?
17 points to 24. Brighton are leading this one with the kick to come. Wind seems to have died away.
Yeah, very enterprising play down the blind side there for Brighton. Once again, their outside backs found a bit of space and kept the ball alive, and the constant support there from behind kept them in the match and resulted in the try. Well done.
So Plummer will set it on its way. It's very, very high and just lands harmlessly in midfield. And that is half time. Ladies and gentlemen, we will step away and take a well-earned break. It was just as we have a look at this again. So as Meredith gets him, lets it go, stands up, he can go again. Very smart rugby. Ladies and gentlemen, we will step away and we'll be back with you very, very shortly.
So combine all of those three things: functionality, great customer service and saving money. It's been an absolute pleasure dealing with Declan and his team at Voitech.
Less than a minute gone and they are inches away. Doughty will stumble, then he will hand it on. Looks how close they are and they have gone over. Within a minute, we said Okaparinga would come out quickly. They have, and that is the first try of the game. Watson will show and stay, make half a yard afterwards. Now there's a pick-up, and Tanaki will go over. Tanaki will score. Burnside in red time. And again to Adcock. Adcock will find Finney. Finney will put the foot down. Finney, I think he's got over.
Gibson's made the gap. Here we go. Look at that. Yeah, good movement. Great move. Just good running line. Paddy. Oh, here we go. Big gap.
Straight for a big gap. Oh,
Well done.
well done. He tried to twist it.
He will turn around. Now he's going to put the toe down. He's going to take the shield. He'll go over the left-hand corner. Right, really going to push away now. And welcome back to sunny Elizabeth, and we are still in the half-time break. And what a game!
Yeah, very close game. We knew it would be. Interesting though, the dynamics seem to have not been what they have been. I think Brighton's inside backs are doing a really good job with the ball running, and Burnside inside backs and outside backs are doing well at the breakdown.
Do you get the feeling that, you know, Burnside taking on this Brighton side, it's almost like being in a room with a half-asleep lion.
Yeah.
You feel that you're okay, but you know that at any moment you could get bitten. And this is the stuff that we talk about. Like Setafano with the intercept, and then there've been in a couple of occasions when Joe has got free and a belly has been damaging, and it is that Fijian trio that are causing issues. But yeah, you just get that feeling that Burnside are doing the right things. They're playing structured rugby. They're playing good rugby. You always feel that they're just on the cusp. But as we say that, we see a Bally who's dealing with some sort of right arm issue.
Yeah, it looks like he's got some sort of wrist complaint.
And it looks like a fairly large complaint.
Yeah, it's a big wrist.
From what the pictures are telling us.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see him shirk his responsibilities though. He's a true wild man, and just very tough by the look of things.
I do find it interesting. Shawnee Meredith, for those of you who don't know, also referees, runs around with a whistle every now and again. So I think there was a prolonged and interesting conversation between him and Mr. Gunning just about that last one. But I'm on Mr. Gunning's side on that one. He's let go. He's stood up. There is no ruck. He can pick it up again.
Yeah.
Nice, good to go.
It is very, very sevens rugby. But we've seen a lot of that from this Brighton backline. Not as structured as we used to seeing Brighton, but hey, if it's working for you.
Here we go.
Setafano will restart us. High hanging kick down towards the 22. Sambrook will dummy to nobody. Roll away from Cook and then meet his twin brother in Groves.
Now let it go. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Get out. Take it. It's 50-50 on whether it's a maul or not. Just give him a bit.
Ashenford will go there. Eliepa will send it out. Then it will go out one more into midfield, into Benja.
Looks like there's been a replacement, Dave, for Brighton. Sebastian Stocks perhaps has come on.
We'll catch up with that when we can. Ashenford.
And so is Logan Brown.
A little bit too early. Have we got Logan Brown on?
I believe so, number 16 for Brighton.
Always comes out when the cameras are on. You won't see him play when they're not. Elder statesman now of this Brighton side, Logan Brown.
Subs, Brighton.
Yeah, he brings a lot of experience to the Brighton pack.
And more changes?
Okay, yep, no, sorry.
No, they made them at half time. Just going to say.
There was a half-time sub that I'd only just found out about.
So Logan Brown has replaced Looks like he's replaced Reese Fishwick. Walton will climb high and ball will go. Murphy again making a use of himself in the maul, but now the maul has got going. Now it will be difficult for Brighton to stop. Ashenford to Eliapa into midfield. And number 22 of Sebastian Stocks is on. Step from Benja takes on Stocks. Is that a belly? Is he replaced?
Offside! Yeah. Offside!
Hand up for out offside.
Hold back line offside, long place.
He was a bit worried that Hodgson was on the floor. Hodgson takes a knee. I think that is a belly who's gone off.
Yeah, it seems to be
So
the
that
case.
wrist has obviously caused all sorts of issues for him. He did not look comfortable when we saw him.
No, it was a worrying complaint from him.
Skip up on the long place and then you're behind the last feet. So you're behind the body.
The ball actually ended up in our little commentary position.
I have to agree with you, Dave. It feels like both teams are about to
Yeah, you're good where you are, mate.
It just doesn't
unleash.
Do you know what? It's a weird, uncomfortable feeling. It's a great feeling, but it's kind of like the climb at the beginning of a roller coaster. Full of trepidation, but the good kind of trepidation.
Yep. Burnside have lost that ball, Dave.
Collier at the back. Fanaho will pick and go. Met by Lamsam. Quick pick and drive. Logan Brown will find himself with the hands on the ball. First time he gets his name called in anger today. Collier decides to come this side to Cook. Cook will take on Walton. Satala kind of made a target for himself. Collier to Plummer, to Stocks. Runs through the first tackle. Then we'll give it out to Butler. Butler thought about giving it. Meredith will battle him to the ground. Collier will go to that right-hand side again to Setafano. No look to Joe. Joe will look to try and get away. Shrugs off the first tackle. Then he will just shift through the gears. And he will put it down, and Brighton will push further in front.
Yeah, they've utilised Joe quite well down the right-hand side. Not much room to work with, but they managed to pull it off.
Pace to Burn.
Setafano to Joe. Joe steps. Shawnee Meredith and Keanu Alipa goes for the ankle tap, but unsuccessful.
Shrugged off Meredith.
Looks like we've got a bit of an issue here with Chris Hodgson.
I think that's going to be it for him, and I think he's going to be replaced by George O'Sullivan.
He's a handy sub. Very good ball runner.
Hopefully it'll just be a corky for him. Plummer will set to take this conversion.
Quite impressed with the Brighton Sebastian Stocks coming in at inside centre. Did quite well there.
Plummer just missing his range today at the moment.
For those of you that have first-time viewers, don't go away, because these teams have
Yep.
got a history of comebacks between each of them.
No, Stefan.
The fat lady doesn't even bother warming up the vocal cords in games like this one. She just stays in the dressing room. Call me when you're finished. Little knock-on, so it will be a Burnside ball.
Yes.
Just a reminder of where we are. These two finished 1 and 2. So the winner of this one will have a weekend off. The loser of this one will play either Old Collegians or Onkaparinga. Onkaparinga play Old Collegians tomorrow here at Elizabeth.
You coming down for that, Dave?
I am busy. You throw me right under the bus then. I won't be here, but there will be suitable replacements, I'm told.
Perhaps. Well, big scrum.
Scrum from Brighton, but big whistle.
Standing up on the far
Standing
side.
up.
Standing up. Far side. Pop.
France doesn't agree with it.
He wouldn't with that.
Nah, but you wouldn't. We get to see France versus Barker in this second half.
No, standing up.
But someone told me at half-time as well, as we get ready, John Fidock will play for Brighton tomorrow, and if he gets on, it will be his 575th game for Brighton, which is a club record.
575.
575 games of rugby.
Yep. No worries.
He must have been playing since like 2.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So Sambrook, 2 ball. Good defence from Brighton. I've got one in the middle. Lamsam will go to halfback, just decides to go. Puts his head down and runs at Satala. Satala will drag him down. Walton just nudges Ashenford out of the way, tries to clean it up a little bit, but it's equally as messy, and then Logan Brown will put a boot through it. Another Burnside player with an issue.
I have to say that today's game between both these teams isn't as structured as what we've seen in the past. Both teams have been usually quite clinical with their structures, but today it's a little bit loose.
Ollie Barker has gone down, and I'm not. I can't quite tell what's wrong, whether because he keeps going wrist.
He is a doctor, so.
Oh, he'll know straight away what's wrong with him.
Yep, he'll be telling Henry what's been going on.
I'm also being told not quite our record. Marlon Mackenzie Smith played over 575 games for Glenelg and Brighton.
Oh,
that's a fair number of games.
That is huge, absolutely huge. There's a bit of movement on the Burnside bench at the moment, Dave.
Well, Chris Walton's gone for a run. Not Alistair Walton. I think Alistair Walton's been on duty somewhere today, running around with a whistle. Too many Waltons at Burnside.
Yeah, there's a whole tribe of them. And all class.
Weird, but 10 points the difference with basically the entire half to go.
I reckon you should.
It must be said it's a beautiful ground.
The northern suburbs of Adelaide.
What counts?
Something must be affecting him quite a fair bit. He's been down for a while.
Lovely rugby moment going on in the background, just off camera, where Chris Walton and Tremaine Butler shared a handshake and a chat, even in probably the most important game that either of these teams has played this year. There's still time for mates on and off of the field.
Well, it is rugby, mate. It's what we're renowned for. Hard physical on the patch, but on the field, and as we see a knock on there by Burnside. The community, such a tight community, the rugby in South Australia, and they all play each other 3 or 4 times throughout the year, and over the years they've developed a healthy respect for each other. It's good to see.
Groves will go down that far side. Come out to Stocks, and Stocks will just drag O'Sullivan with him. Then it will come out to Cook. Cook will find Butler. Butler with an inside ball. And it will go to Pitter. Again, a little bit scrappy, but it's going to come eventually. Butler will work at half-back. France will run directly at Walton. Walton will get him. Stolen by Burnside, and a penalty to Burnside.
Back at 10.
And Kieran Sambrook.
No, on his 2. No, you cannot. Back. No, back.
He's a real juggernaut there in the tight.
Mate, back at 10. No.
Burnside go, they look for the quick tap, and they're away.
Elieper into midfield, and then O'Sullivan will send it out. One more to Green. Benja will roll around. Ashenford looks again to the short left-hand side. Sambrook, who loves to work in tight spaces, manages to keep going. Stocks judo throws him to the ground eventually. Marshall will hand it on to Devlin, who's just absolutely dropped by Black. Ashenford again to Eliipa, inside ball to Meredith, who was met by Cook. The uncompromising shape of Cook. Sambrook again working in a tight area. Manages to offload to Barker. Groves picks him up. Nothing more than a penalty. Walton decides he wants to go. Not 10 is called. Walton rumbles into the 5-metre area. Ashenford has it stolen off his fingertips by Lamsam. Marshall ranges forward. Ashenford takes control again to Eliipa. Out to O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan will shake off the first one. Inching closer. Out to the right-hand side. Eliipa thought about it. Goes and shows. Reaches out and scores. 5 points to the 10. Chipped off.
Oh, well done to the Burnside pack. It was very difficult there for Brighton to hold them out.
Just kept knocking on the door. We've said it before. You knock for long enough, it will open.
And he's just reached out, planted the ball down.
Split the defenders. O'Sullivan did well. And then Eliipa just ball in two hands and showed it. Meant that Pitter had to honour that pass. He backed himself one-on-one.
Yeah, for any youngsters out there, great man to look at. Got all the skills. Keanu Eliipa. Hold the ball in two hands, keeps the defence in two different minds.
Always carry the ball in two hands. Kids? Can he tack on two more? Looks good off the boot. Stays good off the boot. Flags go
I
up.
think he was good that time.
Looks like we're setting up for a grandstand finish once again, Dave.
At what point do grandstand finishes between Brighton and Burnside become boring?
That'd be a good debate topic.
Another grandstand finish from these two. It's like having too much money.
I wouldn't know.
High hanging kick. Lamsam will go. Offloads to Sambrook. Sambrook. Oh, tried the offload. It's gone forward and they've lost it. Out to Stocks. Stocks will send it one more to Butler. Out to Joe. This time Green does manage to get him. Setafano will lose it forward. Knocked forward into touch.
Option. Scrum.
Dave Gunning and I in absolute sync. Knock on into touch, so they have the option, and Burnside have taken the scrum. 5 points the difference.
And this is where you'll see Burnside's structure come into play.
No, I'm pretty sure if I ask the question, I will get an answer. I feel that if there is a draw, we will go to extra time. What that extra time looks like, I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure somebody will let me know what the options are soon.
Big scrum from Burnside. Blair Marshall takes it out to the open. He's broken through two tackles. Nigel Lamsam picks and goes. Pops it to Jacob Devlin. He's still going, Jacob Devlin. Nigel picks and goes again.
He loves his little pick and go.
Brighton have stolen it. They look to shift it out to the left. Out to Bullawup.
Meredith does well again. Meredith plays. He's a small bloke, but he has a heart as big as China.
Yeah. World class, Shawnee Meredith.
Out to Butler. Butler will step inside of Lamsam. Collier. Dropped on by Cook. So, Megan Muala Ivao, who is sat in front of me, has handed me a piece of paper. If we are a draw at full time, we will change ends. Team that had the kick-off first will kick off again. They will play 10 minutes each way. with no break, they will turn around. If it's still a draw, an extra period of 5 minutes each way, that is sudden death. And if there is still no winner, after an extra half an hour of rugby, then the team that finished highest in the ladder will go through.
Very complicated and convoluted, but
That's actually not that complicated. There's been worse. Marshall will clean it up at the back. Murphy came right through the middle of the ruck, which he's more than entitled to do. That one goes forward.
been very impressed with Murphy at number 4 for Brighton. Got through a lot of hard work.
He gets his name called a bit, and he's a nuisance, and in a good way. Seems to disrupt a lot of set play and tackle ruck and maul. He's always there and causing problems. So the battle of the packs will continue. France taking on Barker. Free kick for Early. Fanaho is going. Gets through the first one. Come out to the left to Cook. Dealt with by Walton. Collier sends it to Satala. Collier again, this time to Groves. Groves does very well, acrobatically gets away from the tackle of Marshall. Collier into Black. Out to the left to Groves. Collier again to France. Tried to use Mr. Gunning as a shield, didn't quite get there. Collier out again to Plummer. Plummer will pull it out the back to Butler, all the way across to Setafano. Little stutter step from Setafano. Then he will give it to Joe. Joe will step in, then out. Offload to Butler. Butler will get his second of the game.
They're lethal out the right side.
But again, they're just like that. They push that lead back out to 10 points.
Yeah, Butler, Setafano and Joe creating quite the combination.
There's a little stutter step from Setafano to get on the outside, and then Joe in and out. And then just as you finally deal with one threat, Butler will pop up. Dot down for the points.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, he's electrifying out on that wing.
You cannot set your feet when he's running at you.
Yeah. He only gives you 2 options, doesn't he? Tackle him or let him go.
And sometimes when you tackle him, you let him go.
Yeah.
So Plummer, who has in a way kept Burnside in this at times, looks better off the boot. Flags stay down though. 10 points the difference.
Here we go on the replay. Setafano gets on the outside of Benja.
Just see Meredith has to set his feet, so can't, he's reaching, can't wrap him up. Meredith with the restart, into the sun. Murphy does well.
Gets a head full of steam up too.
And that head full of steam was met by Marshall. Collier. Pulled out the back to Plummer to Stocks. Stocks will run the angle, look for Satala, and Satala will knock it on.
That's the way, Georgie!
Just seems to be the way they get a little bit of a lead and something happens in their own half and give the Burnside beasts a little bit of a sniff, and we'll see if they can capitalise on their opportunity.
I thought there'd been another change. I thought I saw number 20 for Brighton. Very, very messy scrum. Brighton did very, very well.
Very lucky there, Burnside.
17 blue sub.
So Moala Ival will come on.
Possession. Blue.
And Golly Barker is going to come off.
Out, and then the scrum went over the top of him.
So Ollie Barker will make his way off. TJ Moala will make his way on. Have a look at how he goes in his first scrum, almost directly in front of us.
Bind! Set! Yeah, TJ!
Better scrum. Marshall will pick and go. Just make a yard. Ashingford to Eliippa. Into midfield to O'Sullivan. Ashingford directing traffic. Walton. Outside ball this time. Dumped at the 10-metre line.
Advantage offside. Here's the last
Advantage offside. Marshall will run through the first one. Make good yards after the contact. Ashingford will find Walton. Walton misses out Eliippa. We'll find O'Sullivan. Then it will go out one more to Benja. Benja will make good yards after contact. Ashingford again. Patient build-up from Burnside. Walton delayed the ball. Moala Ivao will rumble towards the 22. No advantage for the offside.
Offside. Who's the new skipper?
So you're asking who the new skipper is?
No one's put their hand up just yet.
I thought Satala would have been. Well, he can't talk to the captain if no one says to the captain.
Might be a clever ploy.
It's an interesting tactic.
So time's off. So what's happening is in the long place, they're deliberately stretching their feet out to extend the last feet beyond where the ruck would normally end. Okay, so you need to keep an eye out for that last feet. As soon as you've consistently been a metre or so in front of the last feet, because the ruck will start. You're welcome to explain that to your players if you want to. Hey, time is off. I'm talking to the opponent. Do you want time to say that? You right?
See, we heard what he was saying,
Yep,
that the long place, I think the long place is coming from Burnside. And
no contest,
just went to ground. But I think the long place is coming, and then Brighton are the wrong side of the long feet.
Yep. Just not adjusting at the breakdown.
Eliippa shows, then comes back inside to Barker. Barker will make some good yards. Ashingford will then look out to Eliippa. Fires it to Meredith. Meredith will delay, then send it to Green. Green will work hard. Sent it to Meredith. Gone backwards, but has gone in touch.
No, it's gone out.
I think if Green had another chance at that, he just had to turn around and put it down.
Yeah, he was
I don't think he realised how close he was. Pressure line out throw. Gone quickly. Nobody was set. Oh, they got away with that. Because that was in the hands of Lamsam. Here's the Tyler say, thank you, sir.
Oh, you went so quickly, I didn't have an opportunity to count the numbers, okay? So, yeah. Oh. We'll try next time, hey? You take it quickly, you lose your opportunity to generate a numbers advantage. Crouch! Ready! Bind!
Ashingford will look to put it in. Marshall would fancy it from the back, and he goes. Shrugs his shoulders. Plummer does well, trying to hold him up.
He's done well there, Blair Canvas Marshall.
O'Sullivan delays, sends it to Meredith. Meredith will reverse his field. Just gets held up. That is the 5-metre line. Eliippa just puts his head down and goes, met by Logan Brown. Lamsam will play halfback. Walton will bounce it out. Green will hold it and then send it to Sambrook. Sambrook will score again. Good, patient rugby from Burnside.
Yeah, simple catch and pass. Found the spaces out wide.
Almost a moment through the middle third of this game where they felt that they had to try and compete with Brighton on a level playing field, and they moved away from what they're good at. All became a little bit helter-skelter.
Yeah, as soon as Abella's gone off, there seems to be a lack of potency in the Brighton inside backs. Although saying that, he's warming up on the sidelines again.
Well, you can probably hear part of the conversation in the background, and it's a conversation we had in the Division 1 game. There's two types of changes. So Elliott wanted far too much time. He hadn't even started his run.
You've stopped wood stationary and then you've moved your feet, okay? Okay, you've moved after being stationary.
It's moved after being stationary. So we've had this conversation. We had this conversation in the Division 1 game. There's two types of substitutions, and you'll know this as a coach yourself. There's a tactical substitution and an injury substitution. You come off for an injury, you can't go back on. If you come off tactically, you can go back on. What Burnside are arguing is that Abele has gone off with an injury.
Number 4, what's number 4 say?
So therefore cannot go back on.
Well, I guess it depends.
But it depends on the paperwork.
Depends on the card that they hand into the officials at the halfway mark.
If it's down as a tactical change.
Number 12. Number 12 off.
And there we go.
Well, so has that decision then been made? So Stocks is going back on and Abele's coming off.
You can't come back on once you've been off, unless it's blood bin and it's been longer than 15 minutes.
It depends on the type of interchange that it is.
Okay, we right for
the paperwork will be there.
Well, obviously they've deemed the paperwork was a.
I think they must have checked the paperwork.
Yep.
Time back on.
There was a discussion about Abele as well, as he limped off in the Souths game and got a lot of treatment and a lot of strapping and then came back on. And there was talk about that. So it's an interesting one, and we'll try and find out through the week what has gone on with it. O'Sullivan sends it back inside. Benja will make another couple of yards.
Yeah, missed it, leave it.
5 points the difference. Ashenford lost it on the back of Devlin's head, but it went backwards. Offload to Alippa.
Not releasing.
Penalty not releasing.
Hard but fair.
Just feel that the pendulum is swinging back towards Burnside at the moment.
Yeah, the momentum seems to have shifted a wee bit, Dave. And if I were Brighton, I wouldn't want to give Burnside any form of opportunity, but here we are, line out on the 40-metre line.
One thing we've talked about a lot through the year has been game management, and I quite like that from Blair Marshall. He went and got the ball from midfield and didn't allow Brighton to sort of get the kick-off going and allow the decision to be made about Abele, whether you agree with it, whether it's gamesmanship.
Still down.
Murphy has been neutralised in that one, and Burnside is still going.
Play on!
Has now gone to ground, so they must go and get it. Ashenford does get it. Sends it to Eliippa. Then a short ball to Benja. Had to pick it up off his shins. Gets there eventually. Keeps his feet till his support gets there. Ashenford will then look for Marshall. Marshall used Lamsam as a dummy runner. Ashenford again. Eliippa out the back to Meredith. Meredith will send it early to Barker. Barker just reverses his field. Gets a little bit of space. Finally gets tripped up. Excellent work by Cook though. Has snaffled it. Brighton will turn it over to Joe. Joe looked for the chip through. Eliippa will charge it down. Ashenford looks for a space. Can't quite get one. Cook is slow to get up as well. Penalty for not rolling away. Lamsam will go. Not 10 again. Meredith.
No,
More called. They may come back for the not 10, but they've done enough. Now it'll get to ground. Nobody has to roll away. It's a maul. And there we go. Obviously no advantage from the not 10, or the sufficient advantage from the not 10.
Unplayable more, guys. Yes, they were, absolutely. I got a clear. Number 9 is onside call, so all good.
So there we go. We had the communication from the sideline. The referees do communicate with each other. The referee and the assistants. Big scrum for Burnside inside the final 10 minutes. And then we have the notorious red time.
Bind! Set!
Oh! Straight up in the air.
No, mate, you've gone in and then up.
Cook was a fair way up in the air.
Yeah, he got popped by Freddie Samuels. I think
In line with me.
they're just sort of hitting their tipping point at the moment. Both forward packs have put a lot of work in today.
Plummer nudges down the line. Makes away almost to halfway. Logan Brown again. Watch Brighton go quick. Burnside have managed to get themselves into a position. And Burnside has stolen it. Ashenford looks for Marshall. Another offside call.
Line out, never over.
Ashenford will go. Ashenford will take on Pitter. Gets brought down, no halfback. Counter run comes from Brighton and it's good. Jeez, it's a game of turnovers at the moment.
Roll 7.
And a penalty for not rolling away for Nigel Lamsam.
They did really well at the breakdown, Brighton. A bit of a counter-ruck set in place, and Burnside definitely weren't ready for it.
Cries of not out. That's a good kick. Goes all the way down the line. Jack Cook does not look comfortable at the moment. He is working through a huge amount of pain on this last one.
The numbers are 4.
And Burnside nick another one. Turnover after turnover. Any more turnovers, they'll have to open up a bakery. Marshall.
Quick ball there. George O'Sullivan out to Kieran Sandbrook.
Sandbrook will look for a little bit of room. Gets his hands free. Ashenford at the back. And to Eliappa. Then it will go one more. Shifted to Muala Ival. He will rumble over the 40-metre line. Eliappa again, another offside advantage. You wonder how many of them that they're going to be allowed to get away with. He talked to them a while ago, and there's been 3 since the captain's talk.
Skipper, next offside goes.
There we go. Keanu Eliappa will send it towards the gathered Elizabeth crowd behind us, celebrating their victory in the Division 1 game today.
Come on, boys, let's go.
Looking for numbers, and you're on potential offside. Okay?
Sandbrook will come over. The shadows have lengthened.
Mark's here. Move out, please. Half a metre. Move out.
On me, we're all right.
Thank you.
We'll go to 4. And again, they will get that driving maul going. And again, Murphy tries everything he can. Now they are starting to move, and they have splintered Brighton, and Sandbrook will go. Sandbrook will roll across the 22. Get there, it gets there. Ashenford to Eliappa, to O'Sullivan. Benja. Butler comes back for a second. Samuel will roll forward, has to get to ground, does. Ashenford again, whistle for a forward pass.
No, very unfortunate for Burnside there. He's organising. Both teams look like they're out on their feet at the moment.
We talked about it not too long ago. That Burnside were just moving away from the structured rugby that we'd seen them play. Yeah.
Like
France will pick and go as well.
just resorted to.
Telling you right now, these are the kicks that fly half dream of. These are the ones you want. You don't want the ones in the middle when you're 20 points up. Green with power, just away from Joe.
Yeah, just Too big, too strong. Fraser Green in the corner.
So, Eliepa, these are the ones you dream about. The ones that push you in front in the dying minutes.
The team will just celebrate if they get this over.
There's still time. You've got to keep a lid on it then. Eliepa sets it on the way. ARs don't move. ARs flags go up. Burnside take the lead by 2 points. And importantly, keep their heads. There is still time. And for the first time in a while, we've seen the Burnside players come from everywhere to celebrate.
So the turnover was fine, that's why I played on, okay?
Let's go, boys!
That's a great explanation. The turnover was fine, that's why I played on. If there was anything wrong with it, I would have blown a penalty. So Setafano restarts. Sambrook sits under it. Brighton have made a change. Number 20, Chad Bowker is on. Eliepa sends it to O'Sullivan. Does the inside centre work? How's Burnside's clock management? Zach Ellis. Ashenford.
No, don't move, you can't change your position.
Sends it to Mwala Ival. He will manage to make a yard after contact. Not much more though. Ashenford to Marshall. He is hit hard.
Hands, let him go.
Lamsam looks to come through the middle. Walton will pick and go of the Christopher variety. Penalty. Not releasing. Is it in range? Is it in range? Is there a discussion? What does Plummer think?
That's all that happened.
He's got your
Plummer's talking about it and he's looking at it. I think he's called it. He's going to have a shot at goal.
Another 3.5 minutes.
I don't mind it. Another 3.5 minutes. I heard from Mr. Gunning then.
Time off for injury, I'm guessing.
I will go into red time, and we are in red time.
So what, he's 41 metres out.
Behind.
Pretty much straight in front. Wind-wise, not a lot.
Actually, the wind would favour him from the left post to the right.
And just aim at that left-hand post.
Would you say this is the kick
I'm not sure on his range today.
people dream about?
This is definitely a kick you dream about. Terminator in the background, still not breaking a smile. I wonder whether we'll get one out of him if they win. Plummer gets himself ready. Sets it on the way. Height is good. Flags go up. Brighton by 1 point. 3 minutes to go.
Let's go, Burnside!
Just reminds me of last year's semi-final with Chris Hodgson and the short kickoff. I think in the same spot.
I think
same
it was
scenario.
interesting to see how quickly Brighton got ready for that one. He snuck it in. Oh, Meredith. No.
Option!
Not 10.
Scrum it down.
Now,
Mark's here.
if you
Scrum
want to,
down, Brighton ball. Not 10.
if you want to turn over a scrum, this is it. We are in red time. Brighton leading by 1 point. This is what front rowers live for.
Yes, and you're right, Cookie's not moving the best at the moment. Freddie Samuels might look to take advantage of that situation.
The last couple have been messy.
Bench! Boys! Set!
It's gone down. Cook can't show a weakness.
A lot of talk going on out there.
Pitch is going to be about as good as it gets for scrummaging.
Your ball, TJ!
Bench! Boys! Stand up.
Oh,
Get down, put your head down, get in there.
I'll tell you what, if Brighton do win this scrum, look out for Tremaine Butler and Bulleroy out on the left-hand side. It's a lethal
I
combination.
think Collier will be asking the question every time.
Boys! Set!
How long? Ball goes in.
Time now. Plenty of time remaining.
You heard it there,
Plenty of time. There's still a decent crowd here.
Bind! Set!
Brighton was solid on the last one. Burnside got a little bit more of a drive on that one, but Groves will run towards the sideline, then come back infield to Setafano. Collier out to Cook, and Cook had no intention of doing anything, but just keeping the ball.
Looks like they're just going to do the pick and drive. Or
3 minutes is a long time to manage the clock, but see what they can do.
Where's it?
Music called, another little pick and drive. Collier now will look to spread to Plummer. Setafano steps inside Eliupa and makes it stick. Finally they bring him down. Cook will put his head down and he will just rumble after contact. Plummer to Setafano, showed to kick and then will come back inside, slips out the first one. Marshall will get the second one.
Let him hand off, let him.
Collier to Joe, Joe with a massive show, and he will shake out the first one and the second one. Then he will send it over the top to Brown, to Boker, and we will come back for a forward pass. Black will go over. He'll touch down for the second time of the day, but that one doesn't count. It doesn't matter, because the full-time whistle is gone. And by the closest of margins, Brighton will march through to the grand final. Cook lies in front of us. He has given every single ounce of energy he has today. Burnside will have to come up again, and they will play at Souths next weekend against either Old Collegians or Onkaparinga.
it was a very close game, Dave. Very interesting, and both teams will put this in the memory bank. And well done to Brighton, and Burnside will have to bring the goods next week.
Yet again, an absolute classic between Brighton and Burnside. Tomorrow, we will work out the grand final, the elimination final for Division 1 and the Coopers Premier Grade. Adelaide University will take on Barossa in Division 1, and then Old Collegians will take on Onkaparinga. They will be here. They will be presented by Rory Sarongan. Thank you very much for your help today.
You're much appreciated, mate.
Have
Always
a great
pleasure.
call tomorrow.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are nearly there. One of the grand finalists is set. It will be Brighton. They will now await their opponent. And if all the games are as good as this one, we can't wait.
Yeah.
For the first Saturday in spring, we will join you from all of the Spacequake sports team. Good evening.
That's all right.